So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Here we go back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, March 16th. Hope everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day. Yesterday, it is in fact Tuesday, March 16th here today. We are coming off of a big day of free agency yesterday. A very good Nets game yesterday. Got close. The Nets definitely made the Knicks come back a little bit. It was not the greatest ending to a game. It was very entertaining, but as a fan, it was a little stressful there towards the end. Ultimately, we won the game. A very good win for the Brooklyn Nets, 117-112. And the reason I say it's a very good win is because it's just yet another win, and the more wins we stack up, and the more wins we stack up, the more pressure we put on the Joel Embiid-less 76ers, means we have the more chance of getting the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, which is our ultimate goal. Now, if we don't get the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. But we would love to get the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. And with the team we have, the talent we have, it would be great. So, good win for the Nets. Rangers blow yet another game. We have two leads in the game, blow them both. We're down 2-0, then we come back. We're up 3-2. Then then it's tied again. Then we're up 4-3. Then it's tied again, and then ultimately we lose on a breakaway chance. A bad pass by our goaltender, and right when the play happened, I knew it wasn't a good pass. It was just not a good pass. Keith Kincaid, he took the puck, passed it up the boards. Panarin was tired. He was looking to get off the ice. He saw it was a shorthanded chance. He tried to poke the puck the other way to get it to, I believe it might have been Strome who was coming on and pick it up and go into their zone. Keith Kincaid made a bad pass. And Kincaid should have realized that Panarin was out there for about 2 minutes of ice time, and that was really long, and he was really tired. And, then it led to a breakaway chance, and Kincaid got faked out really badly. It was a really bad fake out. So, Rangers lose. Another loss. We do gain a point, so I guess that's a positive. If you want to take a positive out of a negative, we do gain a point, but another blown lead. We've got to hold on to these leads. That's, I believe, our 9th blown lead this season, if I remember correctly. 9th lead we had, a strong, good lead that we had in the third period. I'm not talking about, a 1-0 lead and boom, then you lose 4-1. I'm talking about games that you took into the third period, strong lead, and you let up goals late, like the Rangers did yesterday. So another tough loss, but we gain a point, and we got to come back tomorrow and play harder and get better. Carter Hart, he's been struggling. We took advantage of it. We scored 4 goals. That's a good amount of goals if you ask me. For a team that was missing Adam Fox, missing Pavel Buchnevich, that's a pretty good amount if you ask me. So the New York Rangers have got to find a way to get back on track here. We had a little bit of that little winning streak going there, and now we've been falling apart again a little bit there. So we got to find a way to get better. But yeah, as for sports last night, that's kind of the deal there. Nothing crazy went on. Nets, Rangers played. Games are done today. There's not much on involving my sports teams. College basketball doesn't start up until Thursday, so a little bit of a halt in college basketball. But I say that as next week there's going to be college basketball on all day, every day, as there's not just games on later, there's also games on during the day because you got to fit 68 teams all into these, 2-day windows. So there's going to be a lot of college basketball on. So I can't complain too much because a week from today, there's going to be college. We're going to be tired of seeing college basketball. I'm just only kidding. But yeah. So with all that being said, if you're a Jets fan like me today, you're waking up today very excited as the Jets make 2 very big moves in free agency yesterday, signing 2 very big players, 2 pieces that are truly, really going to help this team. We signed 3 players. One of them's a very small move. I, to be honest, never even heard of the guy when we picked him up. When I heard about him, I didn't even really hear the guy. I didn't really hear much about the guy. Didn't really know him. We paid him a 1-year, $7 million deal. It wasn't much at all. So we signed him. And then we signed Corey Davis, and then Jared Davis and Corey Davis, and then they have Carl Lawson. as well they signed. So that's big. So there was 2 very big moves by the New York Jets. 3 moves total. 2 of them very big. I believe are going to make huge impacts on this team. If you get what I'm saying. There's a difference between like a Jared Davis is probably like a second to third tier player, like a second tier player. Your first tier players are like Carl Lawson's, Corey Davis's, all that. Your second tier players are like Jared Davis's, or even he might be in that third tier area. But the Jets make 2 very big moves. So I said I was going to talk about the Jets free agency. I said yesterday, if they don't make much moves, I said I'll just talk about what moves I want them to make. And if they do make moves, I said I'm going to talk both. So I'm going to talk a lot of Jets today. But yeah, it was a slow day. I was getting frustrated. We didn't get any moves really until later on in the day. Right before the Rangers and Nets game started is when we started to get moves. And I was getting frustrated. Many Jets fans were getting frustrated. We have all this cap space. We had the third most in the NFL, or the second most because the Patriots were spending it all. And we weren't doing anything. We were not doing anything with our money. We weren't touching it. We weren't doing anything. It was super frustrating. But the New York Jets found a way to get 2 very big free agents. So that's good. Then we're going to get into Domingo Germán's success. I decided let's talk some Yankees today. I've been doing about these weekly things with the Yankees. As the season starts up, I'll be talking more baseball. These next couple days, I'm going to be talking a lot of football with free agency and stuff. And then I won't be probably talking too much football until the draft really starts. But for this week, probably I'm going to be talking a lot of football, a lot of college basketball. And baseball will definitely come. Baseball, obviously, in spring training. But I decided to talk about Domingo Germán's success. Obviously, Domingo Germán last season missed the entire year. Had some problems off the field. Assaulted, I forget what it completely was, but had some, he had a physical altercation with his girlfriend, so, there was some obviously problems with that. He got suspended for the entire season. I believe he got suspended for the entire year, so he might have been 82 games, but he just went for the whole 60, so he didn't play at all last year. It was a huge loss for the New York Yankees, because Germán was really playing well, when we found out. Obviously it was during the offseason, but the year before that, Germán was pitching really well, key part of that team. So he's coming back, and Germán's looked amazing. And I could honestly split this segment into Germán, Tyone, and Kluber, because all 3 of them look like they are going to be ready for opening day. And honestly, I said at the beginning of the offseason, I said at the beginning of spring training, I said I'm going to look for Tyone, I want to look for Kluber, and I want to look for Germán. These are all guys that did not. Tyone played last season, but Kluber pitched what? 1 inning? Okay, he pitched 1 inning. Germán pitched nothing he didn't pitch at all last season. And Tyone's been on and off the field with injuries. I said, I want to see these guys at their full strength, see them play. Domingo Germán has been dominant so far in spring training. I know it's just spring training, but it's truly, you're getting that vibe that Domingo Germán's picking up right where he left off. So, another very good start by Domingo Germán yesterday. Then we'll get into the New York sports update. We got the Knicks play today. It's a back-to-back. 2 tough games for the Knicks. They play yesterday against the Nets, play today against 76ers, the top 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference. So, to be honest, it's a big game for the Knicks if they want to gain any ground. They obviously fell last night. We'll see how they play today against the Sixers. I'm actually pulling for the Knicks tonight. I'm hoping they win because I want to see the Sixers lose because I want to get the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, we still got time. We still got plenty of games, and the Nets still have to play the 76ers again. But it is nice, at least for a couple days here, to see the Nets as the number 1 seed. So we'll get into that. Nets obviously played yesterday, day off today. Rangers yesterday, day off today. Like I said, a little bit of halt in the action in college basketball. There's no college basketball on. For me, not talking about Kentucky, so there's no Kentucky on. Obviously, they're done for the season. But like I said, probably either tomorrow, definitely Thursday. Either tomorrow, if not tomorrow, definitely Thursday. I'm going to be making my bracket. Actually, I might make my bracket on Friday, actually. I'm just thinking here. Nah, probably Thursday because the games will start up on Friday. And then by the time I do the podcast, the games, yeah. So I will definitely do the bracket on Thursday, maybe tomorrow. Like I said, it all depends on what happens in free agency. It all depends on what happens with NFL free agency. If the Jets make 20 more moves today, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. If the Jets don't make any moves today, I might find space to put in my bracket tomorrow. But just know that my bracket will probably take up most of the podcast because it's 68 teams, and I'm going to talk about why I have each team winning or what. So it's going to take time. So just a heads up there. But yeah, so Jets free agency, which obviously will start us off here. And like I said, it really all depends on what happens with, free agency, breaking news, trades, That's what kind of happens. I usually have topics planned out, but it all depends on what else happens around the sports world. So, with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So yesterday, the New York Jets, or the NFL, officially started free agency. I think on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the deals become official and players officially put pen to paper. But yeah, so the Jets have really started free agency. Patriots, to kind of just give you, and I'll get really into the Jets here, kind of just give you a little bit of an update here on free agency. I'll get into the Jets here in a minute. But really overall in free agency yesterday was a very big day. I said yesterday going into the podcast, I said when I recorded that podcast yesterday and posted it, there was only a couple moves to be made. To be honest, I found most of the moves were made during the middle of the day, towards the end of the day. A lot of times, a lot of moves, it's about that time actually, a lot of moves are made towards the middle of the day. I was not expecting this many moves to happen later on in the day. I mean, I was getting breaking news alerts while I was watching the Nets game, and that's kind of rare. A lot of times you see that window from about noon to maybe about 5 o'clock. It's that 5-hour window of where teams are making moves. And then by then, it's kind of okay. Now by then, you're kind of just waiting for another team to make a move. But that wasn't the case. I mean, Washington made a move late last night to pick up Ryan Fitzpatrick. So there was moves happening. I believe that was the only move that happened through the night. And it kind of today, it's almost it's in a way, it's like a process. So they go to the facility, right? You play now. Today is kind of a next day, a startup. There's still so many really good free agents available today. You still have guys like Kenny Golladay available. Will Fuller's available. William Jackson's available. Trent Williams is still available. You still have so many different guys available. I mean, there's Richard Sherman still. There's so many different guys available. Harrison is still available. There's so many different guys available. But today, you're going to see a lot of those guys get picked up. I would say by at least for Thursday, Friday, you're going to start to see things really slow down. Usually the first day is the busiest. Yesterday was the busiest day. Today's going to be busy, but it's not going to be as busy. Tomorrow will be, there's going to be a couple moves here and there, and Thursday will kind of be just the finaling touch-ups, a couple of moves here and there. Maybe on Thursday, Friday. I mean, we did wait. Last season, we waited to see Jadeveon Clowney get signed until 2-3 weeks after free agency started. So we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, so the Patriots obviously were the teams that made the most moves yesterday. They spent the most money. I don't really want to get completely into that. I want to really talk about the Jets here. But the Patriots did make a lot of big splashes. They got guys like Nelson Aguilar. They obviously got Jonnu Smith. They got Matthew Judon. They got Jalen Mills. I mean, they got some big-name guys. They got some guys over there that Bill Belichick ultimately thinks are going to be the right answer. The Patriots, I was looking at something. The Patriots didn't spend, the Patriots spent only this amount of money in 10 years, and yesterday they already topped it. It's crazy how the Patriots usually don't spend money. Now they're obviously spending money because they got a hole ever since Brady left. So, but anyway, so Jets free agency yesterday, kind of give you a little bit of a timeline. Started off really slow. And I was getting really frustrated, to be honest, because I was watching some of the biggest free agents fall off the board to some of these teams that don't even have that much cap space. And I think Jaguars fans should even be more frustrated because the Jaguars, with all this cap space, they made, I think, one small move yesterday. And they watched a lot of these big guys, and you would think they would want to build around Trevor Lawrence more. I mean, they got good receiver talent, but you would think they would want to get another offensive lineman. You would think they lost Yannick Ngakoue. You would think they would want to get another edge rusher to pair up with Josh Allen, right? You could tell the Jaguars have had a little bit of a hole. I mean, even though they got C.J. Henderson, you could tell they've got a little bit of a hole in the secondary ever since they lost Boye a couple years ago. They still need a guy to fill into his shoes full time there. So you would think the Jaguars would be looking at a linebacker, looking at a cornerback here. Maybe they're going to go through the draft, but it was surprising to see the Jaguars not making much moves. But the Jets yesterday started off really slow. We made one move, I would say, in the first 3 hours of free agency, which I guess I got a little impatient. But considering what the Jets did last time. I mean, the last time the Jets had the big money, which was 2 years ago, last time we led the league, or it was we were at the top of the league in cap space. We were making moves from when the day first started. So, obviously, we'll see how it all goes. But the Jets yesterday started off really slow. They made one move with Jared Davis. They signed him to a 1-year, $7 million deal. Was a former first-round pick, actually, for the Detroit Lions. We gave him a $7 million deal. $5.5 million of that $7 million is guaranteed. Not a big deal at all. Small. If he doesn't work out, it's 1 year. You only give him $5.5 million. He goes to another team. It's only a $5.5 million cap hit. That's nothing for a team that has $68 million. And that's what I was getting frustrated. I was like, really? You have $68 million. You're going to spend it on these little guys. Now I get it. I understand here. You know sometimes going out and getting the smaller names does work. Not always going out and getting the big names is the big deal, right? I get that. The Jets yesterday didn't necessarily go out and get the biggest names ever, right? We didn't go out and get, the biggest name free agent out there, right? So we'll see how it both goes. But obviously we'll see how it all plays out. But the Jets, that was really the first move, the first couple hours there to get Jarrad Davis. And then really, it really started to hit here. And the Jets, obviously, their biggest move so far, their biggest move. They have, so hold on a second. So they have, the Jets have about, the cornerback is a need for the New York Jets, which I strongly believe. I don't want to leak many names, but I strongly believe today or tomorrow the Jets are going to go out and get a cornerback. I have a quarterback in mind that I strongly believe we're going to get. I'm not going to say who, though, because it might sound a little odd, but it's connection with our head coach. I have a very strong feeling the Jets might go ahead and try to get Richard Sherman. I personally think there is a true, strong possibility the Jets go out and get Richard Sherman. So the Jets' biggest needs so far have been cornerback, receiver, edge rusher has been a need, and this was a crazy fact. So there's a difference. The Jets haven't had a solid edge rusher since 2005. We've tried to get edge rushers through the draft. It hasn't worked. Free agency edge rusher, we really haven't touched. Hasn't worked. We've tried to get edge rushers in free agency. Hasn't always worked. We've overpaid for edge rushers that are over 30 years old. But the Jets did not do that yesterday. So edge rusher was a big move. Tight end, which I strongly believe we're going to fill that in the draft. An offensive line, another need of ours. Although the offensive line, as it stands today, is much better than it was last season, but it's not where it was, but it's still not where we want it to be. I would say the offensive line. It's in a decent position right now. We could still definitely build on it. So cornerback, edge, which we got rid of that need. So yesterday the Jets went out and signed wide receiver Corey Davis, who I just love this move so much. I mean, once I heard this move, I was so excited to hear that the Jets went out and took a chance on Corey Davis. And here's why I really like Corey Davis. This is a guy last season that the Jets, and I want to lay some facts down to you, just so then you know. So the Jets last season, let's get into this stat here. So, So the Jets, okay, so before I get into this stat, because I got to find it here. Before I get into this stat, Corey Davis, excellent receiver for the Tennessee Titans. I've probably mentioned his name a couple times on this podcast. He's in Tennessee Titans. I don't talk about the Titans that much, so I probably haven't mentioned his name much. But the Titans last season had a really solid receiving core with him, A.J. Brown and Corey Davis there, and obviously Jonnu Smith at tight end. And I really feel like Corey Davis, and I've always said this, Corey Davis, it's almost like this bright spotlight was on A.J. Brown, which is understandable. A.J. Brown, one of the best receivers in the league, and was also on the bright spotlight was on A.J. Brown and also on Jonnu Smith, and it was kind of like the dull spotlight was on Corey Davis, like, Corey Davis, it was almost like, he was making moves and, kind of different things like that. Like, he was doing these little he was making all these moves, catching these balls, going to the end zone, having a career year, and not many people were talking about it because he was a second option at receiver. But I really like this move, and I'm going to tell you why. And I like this move not only because finally the Jets are getting a true wide receiver threat. I'm tired of all this, let's bring in this guy and hope that he does well. We are finally getting a guy who can consistently go out there and put up big numbers on the football field in Corey Davis. And hey, if he doesn't, then I'll go back to this pod and say I was wrong. But for the time being, right now, I love this move by the New York Jets. We're getting a guy that's not only young, he's quick. He's very quick. He's a guy that could go deep. He's also a guy that can stretch the field. He's a guy that can go deep. And boy, the Jets have not had a deep ball receiver in a long time. We had Robbie Anderson, didn't utilize him. The Jets haven't had, I would say, a one-on-one guy since we really had in Santonio Holmes, really back in 2010. The Jets haven't had much pieces in the past decade, or the past 10 years. It's the truth. We haven't had much. We're finally getting a true deep ball threat. We thought we had that in Robbie Anderson. We never used him. We thought we had that in Brashad Perryman. Didn't really use him much. He couldn't stay healthy. We're finally getting in Corey Davis, and I love this move not only because he's quick, he's young, and he's deep ball threat, but he fits the scheme of Mike LaFleur's offense. And the Jets have been saying this entire offseason. We're not just only going to go out there and try to get the best players out there. We're going to get the guy that's going to fit the scheme, a guy that's going to come in here and work hard every single day, and every day he's going to want to get better. And a guy that's 26 years old and is starving for, and wants to get a big-time role in a team, whatever the case may be, wants to get paid, wants to, compete, and wants to go out there and try his best to help the team win games. This guy is this guy Corey Davis is hungry for teaching. He's hungry. He wants to win, and ultimately we're bringing in a guy here that's coming from a winning atmosphere in Tennessee, has made the playoffs the past couple seasons. He's coming here, 26 years old. We're giving him the money, but he deserves every penny of it. I love this move by the New York Jets. And another reason here I love this move, not just because he's young and it's already an upgrade from receiver. He's already an upgrade. So him and Mims now on receiver looking pretty good. I would love to add one more. I'm not saying I would love to get Kenny Golladay. I would love it. But if it's not Kenny Golladay, it's like a Juju or a Will Fuller or someone, I would be okay with that. But we'll see how it all plays out. So I love this move by the New York Jets here getting Corey Davis. That was our first, I would say, big splash in free agency. Our next move here was getting... this was something I do. Jets wide receivers had the third lowest catch percentage of any wide receiver group in the NFL. This is the stat that really amazes me. And this is just how much he's going to help the team. Corey Davis is another guy. He gets targeted a lot. When he gets targeted, though, he doesn't drop the ball. He catches the ball. It shows on here 71% of times. He led the NFL. Corey Davis, 71% should help the Jets with a more accurate quarterback. So Corey Davis last season led the NFL in catch percentage by a wide receiver, which means the amount of balls thrown to you, he caught the ball when he was thrown to him 71% of the time. The Jets last season had 57%. We had the third worst in the NFL. 57% catch percentage by wide receiver group in 2020. The Broncos led the way with 54%, Eagles 56%, Jets at 57%, Bengals at 60%. So the Jets were at bottom of the league in catch percentage, and we're bringing in a guy that not only helps our receiving core, but helps one of our weaknesses, and that is receivers catching the football, and we get him here in Corey Davis. And that's why a lot of people might think we're giving him a lot of money. But part of the reason we're giving him a lot of money because of the gaping hole we have a receiver. We don't have a number one receiver. And number two, we have receivers that drop a lot of balls. And Corey Davis does not drop a lot. He's going to catch the balls that you throw to him. You throw him the ball 10 times, he's going to catch it 7-8 times. There's guys out there on the Jets that will catch it 3 times. So this is a big. He doesn't only fix a gaping hole, but it's a glaring problem that the Jets don't have receivers that can catch balls. And sure, it's part of the reason because Sam Darnold hasn't been the best with accuracy. But Tannehill, too. He's been solid with accuracy, but he has accuracy problems sometimes. So really good by the New York Jets there to get Corey Davis. And another move here, and like I said, the Jets, I've always felt this ever since we hired Robert Saleh. I've always felt with the New York Jets, we're kind of doing this thing here where we're building it. We're building this thing the right way, I would so much say. The New York Jets are. We're building this thing the right way. And I said, you can't build a sandcastle or you can't build a castle from the top to bottom. You got to start it from the bottom up. And that's what I've been saying this whole time. And, it's almost like trying to build a house. You're not going to be able to build a house starting at the roof going to the bottom. The Jets have been trying to do that this past couple of years. They've been trying to do that. They're trying to build from the top to the bottom. You can't do that. It's going to take a process. It's going to be a process. It's going to take time. But the Jets are doing it the right way right now. We're building a solid foundation, and we're slowly building up. And we're slowly building up with young talent. And if you don't think that, well, look at this. The Jets, 3 free agents we signed yesterday. All of them are 26 years old. In the past, the Jets would give $45 million to a guy that's 37 years old and out of his prime. So the Jets are signing not only talented guys, but they're signing young players that still have so much more room to grow and still are hungry for more knowledge. And that's what Robert Saleh and this coaching staff is bringing to the New York Jets. So our next move here is going to Carl Lawson. Also 26 years old, which is just another really great move. He was a fourth-round pick, 20 sacks in 4 years at Cincy. He's a three-down player He's a three-down player. He has 38 pressures at right defensive linebacker and right outside linebacker. That's the most in the NFL. And he's the third fastest to get off rate, 0.73, which means to get off his blocker or get off the guy in front of him. And you want to know who else? You want to know who's in front of him? Behind T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree per at Next Gen Stats. So he has the fastest get off rate, 0.73 in the NFL. And he's only behind T.J. Watt, arguably the best defensive lineman in the NFL, and Bud Dupree, arguably one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. So he's up there with really good company, only 26 years old once again. And that's another thing, too, that helps the Jets. He fits the scheme. He fits the 4-3 scheme that Robert Saleh is going to bring in here. He not only does that, but another thing it does for the New York Jets here is it brings another young guy into this building. But the Jets, if you watched any of their games last season, or maybe you've seen one of them. I mean, the Jets were nationally televised a couple games last season, so I'm sure you watched a couple of them. But if you've seen all of the games last season with the Jets, they had a tough time, and even against offensive lines that were they had a tough time generating quick pressure. And a lot of times in the NFL, that's big. Because as the NFL gets more mobile with quarterbacks, you need guys that are going to get off their blockers, have good moves to get off their blockers quickly to get to the quarterback, right? You're going to need that. And the Jets, I would say, haven't really had that. They haven't had that guy that quickly gets off their blocker and is to the quarterback in a matter of 2 seconds. The Jets give the quarterback time. Sure, will generate pressure, but it's after the quarterback kind of reads the field a little bit, then we generate pressure. If you want to generate good pressure, you got to get to the quarterback before he can even read the field perfectly, before he can look left and look right. And ultimately, most of the quarterbacks in the NFL are righty. This is a guy that can play right and left side. So this is a guy that could come from a blind side and come from their regular side. But then you got John Franklin Myers, who had an excellent year this year from the blind side. So the Jets' edge right now went from dull to having absolutely no one to having a really solid edge rusher in Carl Lawson, who's also only 26 years old and still has time to grow, still wants to learn, and still has a lot of talent and still has a lot of knowledge, and he's only 26 years old. So another great move by the Jets. And sure, if you think we overpaid for him, okay. But hey, I want to tell you this. If we overpaid for him, he's 26 years old. We're going to give a guy that's 26 years old, we're going to give him the money because he's still young. We gave him a 3-year deal? Okay, boom. After this deal's up, he's 29. He hasn't even hit 30 yet. You know how pivotal that is for a guy that's going to play 3 downs? Now with Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams on that line will definitely cause problems. Quinnen Williams, very good defensive lineman, and now Carl Lawson, man, that Jets defensive line just looked a whole lot better by one addition, and the Jets finally got a solid edge rusher in Carl Lawson. Love this move by the New York Jets. And, so yeah, obviously, obviously still in the market, obviously here. So, Port 3 years, $45 million for him. But this would be the unofficial, so I just wanted to say this. So this is the unofficial Jets, Jets receiving depth chart here. So it's wide receiver Corey Davis and Vincent Smith. Wide receivers Mims and Lawrence Cager. Wide receivers Jamison Crowder and Braxton Berrios. And in their free agents, Rashad Perryman. I don't foresee us bringing him back. Looks better than it did this morning. Big bodies on the outside. Davis and Mims both 6'3". So they're both very good deep ball threats. They're both strong. And they're both quick. So that's good. And then look at the depth chart after Carl Lawson agreement. So the defensive end will be Carl Lawson and Phillips. And then the tackles will be Quinnen Williams and Nathan Shepard. Defense tackle will be Florencio Fatukasi and Smart. And defensive end will be John Franklin Myers and Jabari Zuniga. Zuniga is also young. Franklin Myers and Fatukasi also had big years last year, followed by Quinnen Williams, and then adding Carl Lawson. So Lawson and Quinnen Williams will cause headaches for opponents. Could use a bookend opposite than you're talking with Lawson. So it's big. And obviously opening day ages for the Jets free agents. Carl Lawson, 26 years old. Corey Davis, 26 years old. Jared Davis, 26 years old. If you're going to spend big, spend it on guys that are young. Spend it on players that still have time to grow. Spend it on players that are still want to learn and still, are bringing guys that, want to win and guys that are still, that's another thing too. Young guys have always said this in sports. There are a lot of times they sometimes go out there and put maximum effort. Some of the older guys, when they get their big contracts, they don't put that much effort out there because they already got their big payday. These guys are still trying to earn. These guys are still trying to show the NFL why they should be one of the top players at their position. And Carl Lawson definitely up there. So, and that's another thing. The Jets have the third lowest catch percentage in the NFL. And adding the guy with the best among receivers, I mean, if that's not helping you, then what is? So, just super excited with the way the Jets did this yesterday. And this is a thing, too, here. Jared Davis' contract is a 1-year, $5.5 million signing bonus, $2.5 million. Base is $3 million, and a cap hit is $5.5 million. So, still not much there. So obviously the Jets with big moves, obviously Jared Davis and stuff like that. Jared Davis isn't that big of a move, but Corey Davis and stuff like that. So I just want to read here with Corey Davis. So Corey Davis is the number 4 ranked wide receiver in the free agents class. So he's a top 5 wide receiver in the free agent class. So Corey Davis, 100 press receiving yards games. He had first 3 seasons, he had 2. Last season, he had 5. Davis is Pro Football Focus, number 4 ranked free agent wide receiver. His grade's definitely high as well. So let's read this. So report Corey Davis, Jets agree to 3-year, $37.5 million contract in 2021 free agency. And, let's just read this quick article, and then I'll get into the Carl Lawson article. I'll read a little bit of this article, and then we'll kind of get into some of the other logistics. So it's Corey Davis, $37.5 million. So obviously, as the number 5 overall pick in 2017, Davis entered the league with high expectations, but wasn't able to get much into a rhythm in his first 3 seasons, but was able to really pick it up last season, obviously. He had a much bigger impact in 2020, finishing with 65 catches for a career-high 984 yards with 5 touchdowns, averaging 70.3 yards per game. After topping 100 yards in a game just twice in his first 3 years, he reached a milestone 5 times last year. 26-year-old also showed the ability to make game-changing plays for the Titans. His new team will hope there are more positives than negatives after agreeing to the latest deal. That's kind of just quickly on Corey Davis because I want to also get to Domingo Moreau later, and I also want to get to some of this cap space here. So that's with Corey Davis. And then Jets land Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson, Jets reportedly agreed to a 3-year, $45 million contract in 2021 free agency. Veteran defensive end Carl Lawson has agreed to the deal with the New York Jets via NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. The 3-year, $45 million year reportedly includes $30 million guaranteed. A lot of strong sense among her teams. Jason La Canfora said that Carl Lawson would possibly end up with the Bengals. But it looks like the Jets made the better move, and it looks like he ultimately wanted to go to the Jets. The Jets were going strong after Carl Lawson, Trey Henderson all day. 2 defensive ends they think will be great fits in Robert Saleh's defense. They land Lawson, whom the Bengals are trying to lure back. Henderson remains unsigned for now. Trey Henderson, who the Jets were trying to target, another really very good edge rusher. A couple hours after Carl Lawson signed, they ended up feeling the need to sign him. So Hendricks is now with the Bengals now. So another big move there. With what Lawson does well, though, is he does very well. He provides immediate help off the edge for the Jets and should be a steady contributor when attempting to collapse the pocket. If he grows into a more balanced defender, then it'll be an added bonus. So a great move by another very good move by the Jets there. So I just want to see this. So Jets began free agency with roughly $68 million in cap space. After wide receiver Corey Davis and linebacker Jared Davis, they are left with roughly $50.3 million. No matter what Lawson contract looks like, they have plenty to keep adding to roster. We'll need $12 million for rookies. So, like I said, the Jets still have so much money to add, and this is where I wanted to get the NFL cap space here, 2021. So the Jets here have about $50 million. This site shows about $51 million. So $50 to $51 million, give or take here, they have. So $51 million is still an excellent amount because it's still a very good amount. And I'll tell you why. Right, $51 million is still going to get you a lot of great things, right? We could still go out there and get a very solid receiver. We could still go out and, look for, a guy like a Richard Sherman, right? we can still go out and get very good guys. And a guy like a Richard Sherman who has hinted that he's really like Robert Saleh, that he really, wants to, a guy that likes Robert Saleh, a guy that really, really wants to, really likes his defense, a guy that he said that he would love to team up with him. He says that the Jets, are headed in the right direction, all that. He said all that stuff. And it just so happens now that the Jets are in the cornerback market. So we'll see how it plays out. All I'm saying is I do think the Jets do make a push at Richard Sherman. That's what I'm saying. And if they do, I would be very excited for that too. I do think the Jets make a push for Richard Sherman. There's obviously some other cornerbacks out there, but maybe you could get Richard Sherman for cheap if he wants to come here and work with Saleh. So, and if the Jets are going after scheme fits, guys that fit the scheme, well, Sherman played under Saleh's defense for 2-3 years there in San Francisco. So, I think the Jets right now are in a position where there's a lot more needs, obviously. We still got the draft. I think we're going to build offensive linemen through the draft, and the way it's looking, it looks like we're going to stick with Darnold. And I said this. You're going to probably find out what moves we make in free agency depends on what we do in the draft. As of right now, it looks like we got a receiver, we got an edge rusher. As of right now, it looks like we're trying to build around Darnold. Because it looks like we might get the number 2 pick, take Penei Sewell out of Oregon, add another big body, maybe add another receiver with that other pick, and in the second round, with we have one of the first or second pick in the second round, we add another receiver or offensive lineman. So it looks like the Jets are going to try to build offensive linemen through the draft, which I'm perfectly okay with. What I was concerned yesterday is I didn't want us to get just one player and be out, that's it. The Jets have a lot of needs. We could still fill. We have $51 million left. We could still fill a lot. We could still fill the cornerback. Let's say that gives us roughly 51. We spent about $17 million total yesterday because some of it goes into the total active cap spending and the salary cap, right? Some of that goes there. So we'll have about $17 million. So today, let's just say we sign Richard Sherman, for example. You might still have room to maybe sign another receiver. And I'm not saying that has to be Galladay. I would love to get Galladay over here. If we got Galladay, I would feel very confident going into this year about an actual good season if we get Galladay. Because that's 2 very good receivers, a solid edge rusher, and if we build on a cornerback, that's the perfect situation. I don't want to get into the perfection. I don't want to get into perfection because that's hard to do. That's the perfect situation for the New York Jets, is to get a cornerback and another receiver. Who the receiver is going to be, I don't know. But that's, I think, the perfect situation for the New York Jets. So, the New York Jets have a very solid day on day one of free agency, and like I said, should be more to come today as second day free agency. It's going to be a little bit slow. We're not going to see as many moves. But I do believe the Jets are going to make some more moves today. Maybe we're more active today. Maybe, there's still some big names out there. As a matter of fact, I still got to get to Domingo Herman. Actually, we're making good on timing because I had a feeling I was going to take some time on this. But NFL free agents. So NFL free agents here. So NFL free agent tracker. So let's see. So there's still some solid players out there. Like Trent Williams, offensive tackle, who's 5th ranked free agent, most people say. He's still unsigned. He's free agent. Kenny Galladay, still a free agent. Hunter Henry, another tight end, still a free agent. Curtis Samuel, who is a receiver I would love to get to. He's quick. He's a guy that we're going to get for cheap. That would be a good move. William Jackson, he's a very good scheme fit. I would love to get him if I was the Jets with William Jackson. He's another cornerback. Anthony Harris, a safety who, for this entire offseason, the Jets have been looking at him. Teams have been saying the Jets are going to look at him, and the Jets might get him. He's still out there. Melvin Ingram, another edge rusher, still out there. I don't foresee the Jets getting him if we just got Carl Lawson. Juju Smith-Schuster, still out there. Obviously, Corey Davis signed with the Jets. Marcus May obviously got franchise tag. Another offensive tackle, Alejandro Venezuela, unsigned. Hassan Reddick, he's also free agent. Shaquille Griffin, another cornerback free agent. Patrick Peterson, free agent. Will Fuller, free agent. Jadeveon Clowney, free agent. Xavier Rhodes, a couple years ago, was probably one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He's still free agent. So there's so many different. Kevin King, Jayon Kenyon Drake, Jayon Brown, Troy Hill. There's so many different. T.Y. Hilton. There's so many. Russell Okung, whatever. So many. Chris Carson. There's so many. Gerald Everett. Desmond Kane. There's so many different free agents out there still to go. So, Richard Sherman obviously as well. So there's so many different free agents out there. Still a lot more moves to be made. And I'm sure some of those moves will be made today and within the next couple days. So I would say a good first day for the New York Jets in free agency if you had to ask me. Not going to give a certain grade on them. If anything, I'm going to give a grade after free agent, because he kind of slows down and the Jets have kind of made all their moves and all that. Then I'll probably give you a grade on the entire free agency. I don't want to grade each move. I'll just give you a grade on the entire free agency. But so far, the Jets are off to a good start. Jared Davis move, so what? Like, okay, we signed him. Really, like, I'm not that pumped about that move. I mean, it's a move. It's a $7 million move. It's nothing. It's not that much money. We're giving this guy to hope that he can, come back to what he was, that one season where he had 6 sacks and 100 tackles season. We'll see. Right? I mean, we'll see how it all plays out, right? Like I said, these coaches, they always have a reason behind everything. These GMs, they have a reason behind everything. So obviously, they have a reason on why they signed Jared Davis. They obviously see something in him that we don't. Because to be honest, like, it's a move, but, I mean, who knows? I was saying that about some of these moves. I mean, I said that about a lot. I mean, Brian Poole, when we got him, I was really excited about that move, but I didn't think he would be this solid for us. Marcus May, when he was drafted, sure, he was a good move, but I didn't think he would be this solid. There's always guys that, pop out of the middle of nowhere. So, anyway, that finished up the Jets pool portion of this podcast. Coming up next, I'm going to kind of go a little bit over Domingo Germán's spring training success early on here in spring training. He's been very, very good. Coming up next. Alrighty, so this might be a little bit of a push, but it definitely looks this way. Domingo Germán looking like a second Yankees ace so far in spring training. Man, do I love to say that. Talking about a second ace on the New York Yankees, what the Yankees exactly need is someone like a Domingo Germán to pick it up and be that guy. That's what the Yankees need, and that's what I'm hoping for as a New York Yankees fan. So, to be honest, it's spring training. I understand. But the Yankees right now on a 6-game win streak in spring training. So, we're rolling right now. I know it's spring training, but it's still nice to win. So, the Yankees play again today. But, yeah, Domingo Germán looking like an ace so far. That is the absolute truth. I know it's only spring training. I don't want to crazy overreact. But Domingo Germán's looking like a guy that the New York Yankees definitely are glad to have back. This is a guy that, obviously, to kind of give you a little bit of a timeline, came into the league for the New York Yankees, was relatively underrated. We didn't really know much about him. Came into the league, obviously, a guy from, an overseas player came into the league and, was just really made an impact early on in his career, I would say. He really made an impact. He really looked like he could be a guy that could be a solid starter, and he did. His first couple starts were really good. We wanted to see if he can add on, and he kept on adding on, and the New York Yankees were like, oh, look at this guy. Like, we have a hidden gem here. He kept on putting in good starts, and we were all so excited to see what he brung this upcoming year in 2020. I mean, last season, obviously COVID hit, everything like that happened, but before that even happened, he couldn't even play. He had an off-the-field issue, had a physical altercation with his girlfriend, and he missed the entire year. And I'll tell you what, playoffs, regular season, it was a big impact, especially for a team that was injured a lot, for a team that could use some depth on the pitching staff. That was a guy we were severely missing a lot. And this was a guy, too, when we saw Luis Severino go down, we were all obviously upset, but we all assumed, too, Domingo Germán, this could be a guy that we could possibly see, filling in his shoes a little bit here. Obviously, the whole physical altercation happened. That never happened. Yankees obviously ended up going to a 60-game season, yada, yada, yada. We're now sitting here at spring training of 2021, and he's looking like he's picking up right where he left off and some. And it makes you wonder if during that time he obviously thought about his decisions and, he's given a second chance in life, obviously. Second chances usually aren't always the case, but he is. Very well, he could be kicked out of the MLB. It's very possible he could be kicked out of the MLB, but the MLB said, 82 games, blah, 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 you're going to miss a year. I'm not going to get into that. That's a long time ago, but he came back, and I would assume over that time he was pitching. Now, that might sound like a Captain Obvious thing to say, but I will tell you what I think he looks, and comment down below. I think he looks better now than he did when he first joined the team, 2019. It's so hard because it's so hard to remember 2 years ago because it is just It's just there's so much that's happened in the past year here. It's like 2019 seems like a forever ago, you know? But yeah, so, obviously he signs with the New York Yankees and all that good stuff, and now he's back with the team and all that. And the players have said, that he's, getting a second chance. We don't agree what he did, blah, 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 on and on and on. Your normal stuff. But I'll tell you what. As a New York Yankees fan, if I'm Aaron Boone right now, as a Yankees fan, if I'm, the Yankees pitching coach, Blake, right? If I'm any guy in the Yankees front office right now, if I'm Brian Cashman, whatever the case may be, I should be feeling pretty darn confident about this pitching rotation, not just Domingo Germán, but this pitching rotation going into the 2021 season. And the Yankees, and I said this, I relatively like the Yankees offseason. I said we're not going to spend big. I've called that this whole time. The only thing we were maybe going to do is if we signed JT Realmuto. That was the only slight rumor. Realmuto said he didn't want to go to New York and play for the Yankees. He said he would rather play back for the Phillies. He said he would only go there if it's the right circumstances, which means we got to give him that lot of money, and we didn't need to do that when we had a couple catchers already. So, obviously with that. But I was perfectly fine with the Yankees not spending big. I was fine. I said Yankees aren't going to spend big this offseason. Sure, was I frustrated when I saw some of the bigger free agents go off the board, like Lindor, a guy who the Yankees might have got? Yeah. Sure, was I frustrated to see it take 3 months to get LeMahieu back? Yeah. But we got him back nonetheless, and I can't complain. We got him back. I can't complain. I can't sit here and complain and say it got to take 3 months. Do I think we should have brought LeMahieu back right away? Yeah, I definitely think so. But, the Yankees had a slower offseason. But I feel like the Yankees might have won the offseason in a way, and it's looking that way right now. Because Corey Kluber looks amazing. And I know it's only spring training. I get that. But Corey Kluber already looks amazing. And that's big. Corey Kluber is something that you could seriously judge his performance off of spring training. Germán, you got to see him regular season. Taillon, I would also like to see him regular season. But the fact that Corey Kluber switched his pitching motion, and he's coming off of shoulder surgery at the age he is, to at least see him find his command, because command isn't any different in spring training. It's no different. If you're throwing balls in spring training, that same ball is going to be a ball in the regular season. Strikeouts, ground outs, stuff like that might be different because it's different hitters, maybe lower guys in the farm system. But Corey Kluber's look good, and so is Germán, and this is huge. I mean, I'm so excited about this. Like, to see Germán go out there and go and look like he is. I mean, he literally is looking like the Yankees' second ace right now. And how pivotal that is to the New York Yankees, you don't even want to know how pivotal that is. That's huge for the New York Yankees. This is a guy that's going to go out there. This is a guy that's going out there every game, giving it all. He's going out there and playing really hard every game here. And that's really big for the New York Yankees. And super exciting to see Domingo Germán pitch like this, because he's pitching really well right now. Domingo Germán looking like a second Yankees ace so far. Let me see if I could get another article up here. That article was really didn't have too much detail in it. Okay, so let's get into this here. So Domingo Germán showing no rust during sharp spring training here. So Tampa, Florida, this is an article from Tampa, Florida, obviously given that they are in Tampa. Domingo Germán represented an unknown as the Yankees prepared for camp some 16 months removed from the most recent appearance in a Major League game. This was a scant information on his readiness. As a part of a suspension for violating baseball's domestic violence policy, the right-hander was barred from working out at any team facilities. As such, manager Aaron Boone said that he entered the spring expecting signs of rust with the 28-year-old who is vying with right-hander David Garcia and other for the club's final rotation spot. Instead, the Yankees have seen nothing but excellence from Germán, fired for sharp innings in Monday's 4-2 Grapefruit League victory over the Phillies to extend a solid spring thus far. I think the key has been the physical preparation coming into camp, Germán said through an interpreter. I think it was very important to bring the focus into these outings and being able to make adjustments during the game. Making his third start of the spring, Germán showcased good velocity and effective changeup. That's another thing, too. His off-speed and his velocity, but his off-speed especially, he had one of the nastiest changeups on the team. Now it's probably Cole's got the nastiest pitches, but Herman, before Cole, he probably had one of the nastiest off speeds on the team, and arguably in the MLB. Velocity effective changeup to strike out 6, limiting Philadelphia to 3 hits and 1 walk over 4 scoreless frames. In 9 scoreless in his spring innings, Herman has scattered 5 hits while striking out 13 against 1 walk. 13 strikeouts, 1 walk. You talk about a guy that missed an entire year. You would think command would be a problem. That's not the case with Domingo Herman. Showing great signs of picking up where he left off. Domingo, man, I feel like he's picking up right where he left off. Right where we left off in 2019. Said Yankee slugger Aaron Judge. The breaking pitches are sharp. He's got command of the zone. He's pounding it with good velocity on the fastball. With Garrett Cole, Corey Kluber, Jameson Taillon, and Jordan Montgomery entrenched among the Bombers' starting rotation, Boone offered modest expectations regarding Herman, who led the Yankees with 18 victories before September 2019 incident resulting in an 81-game suspension, which meant Herman could not pitch in the 2019 postseason and all the pandemic-shorn 2020 campaign. Based upon his spring performance, Herman seems to be in a position to roll the clock back, perhaps serving in a larger role than many had anticipated. Herman seems not to have missed a beat from his 2019 performance when he pitched to a 4.03 ERA, 111 ERA plus, and led the majors with an 8.18 winning percentage. He was a very good winner. He did win a lot, which I don't really care about the win-losses much in baseball, but it's good to know that he does win, and it's good to know that the Yankees put some good bats out there for him, you know. Since the first bullpen and every step of the way, it's just really been sharp. Really, really sharp, Boone said. This is a really good experienced pitcher. That's what he's shown us every step of the way. To go along with a really good 3-pitch mix, I maybe expected there to be a little more rust here, and I haven't seen that so far. Herman said that he trained his body to pitch at least 150 innings this year. He tossed 143 frames in 2019, and believes his mechanics and pitches are sharper than they were 2 years ago. I see myself as a normal baseball player, Herman said. I just want to keep doing my job and try to win a spot in the rotation. It doesn't matter which one it is. Wouldn't be surprised if he's the number 2 or 3 starter with the way he's pitching. And like I said, I still want to see him in the regular season, right? Still want to see him in action out there. But so far, all things showing Domingo Herman starting for the New York Yankees, and he looks like he's going to be a really solid asset for this team. So, really, really good there. Let's get into some of the other stuff here. So yesterday in the NBA, the Nets, the Lakers won, Nuggets won, Suns won, Clippers won, Spurs won, Hornets won, and Bucks won. Nets won yesterday, 117-112. We moved to 27-13 on the season. Another big win for the Nets. Kyrie led the way with 34 points. Harden with another triple-double. Kyrie with another 34 dominant points. Great game there. As for today, we got the Jazz, Celtics. I'll give Jazz the win. Heat, Cavs give Heat the win. Rockets, Hawks give Hawks the win. 76ers, Knicks give 76ers the win. Bulls, Thunder give Bulls the win. Trailblazers, Pelicans, Trailblazers the wins. And Lakers, Timberwolves give Lakers the win. As for the NHL yesterday, the Flames won, Canadians won, Canucks won, Panthers won, Penguins won, Capitals won, Predators won, and Golden Knights won. And yesterday, the Flyers won 5-4. Rangers moved to 11-12-4 in the season. Now, a tough loss for the Rangers. Bad mistake late by the goalie results in a loss by the Rangers. Today we got the Penguins, Bruins. I'll give Penguins the win. Capitals, Islanders. I'll give Capitals the win. Devils, Sabres give Devils the win. Red Wings, Hurricanes give Hurricanes the win. Wild, Coyotes give Wild the win. Stars, Lightning give Lightning the win. And Ducks, Avalanche give Avalanche the win. And as for the MLB yesterday, the Diamondbacks won. Indians won. Dodgers won. Padres won. Reds won. Cubs, White Sox tied. Royals won, Marlins won, Orioles won, Braves won, Cardinals won, Rays won, and Blue Jays won. Yesterday, the Yankees also won 4-2. We moved to 10-4-1 in the spring. And obviously, like I said, Herman with another very, very good start. Today, we got the Phillies, Blue Jays. I'll give Phillies the win. Red Sox, Braves give Red Sox the win. Rays, Orioles, Rays the win. Twins, Pirates, Twins the win. Mets, Astros, Mets the win. Dodgers, Brewers, Dodgers the win. A's, Diamondbacks give Diamondbacks the win. Indians, Angels give Angels the win. Padres, White Sox, Padres the win. Nationals, Marlins give Nationals the win. Royals, Mariners give Royals the win. Reds, Rockies give Reds the win. And Giants, Rangers give Giants the win. Yankees also play today. Yankees come into this game 10-4-1. Tigers come into this game 7-7-1. This game comes on today, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Garrett Cole's on the mound today versus Michael Fulmer. So Cole's on the mound. I'll give the Yankees the win. And then we'll finish off the packed podcast with some fantasy action here. So fantasy basketball, I'm currently losing 338-212, so hopefully I make a comeback there. Today I've got going Trae Young, Jimmy Butler, Kemba Walker, and Victor Oladipo. And as for fantasy hockey here, I'm losing 29-22, so still a close game there. Today I've got going Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, Nicholas Backstrom, Joe Pavelski, Jacob Shyström, and my goalies are Semyon Varlamov and Kaapo Kakkonen. So that's that there. Hopefully I can win in both leagues there. Fantasy hockey still close. Fantasy hockey you don't usually get to see who wins until like the end. Like usually fantasy basketball, like usually you could tell within the first couple days. I've noticed in fantasy basketball the games are a lot more blowouts or a lot more lopsided if there's going to be a game. But yeah, that's what I noticed anyway. Like I said, there's differences in each fantasy league, right? Like fantasy football, you get like fantasy basketball, it's the high scoring, very high scoring. Fantasy hockey, high scoring, but not that high scoring. And in fantasy football, it's 100 points in among like a couple days. So, I'm excited this year for fantasy baseball. It's my first year being in a league, so that should be good. I actually have the draft, I think, this upcoming Monday. I have the draft, which should be good. I usually go into the plan, but I kind of, given that's my first baseball draft, I kind of go into it with a, kind of just not. I don't want to say winging it. Like, just go in with no plan, but I kind of go in, because I don't know, like, I'm new to it, so I don't really know who to draft when, where, how, and stuff. I mean, I know how to draft, but, even with hockey, like, I didn't know who to draft first and stuff, defensemen, forwards, goalies, so I kind of just went ahead and, picked, and, whatever I felt was a good time to pick. Obviously, I definitely prepared and stuff, but, I knew all the players, I just didn't know what order to pick. I'm same thing here, like, in baseball, do I pick pitchers, hitters, outfielders, infielders, what do I do, a couple different things. I think batters would probably get you the most points, and then pitchers. But it's kind of different. Almost like fantasy football. My first time playing fantasy football, I drafted a quarterback first. Well, I've learned now quarterbacks shouldn't be drafted first. It should be running backs or a receiver if you're going to draft in the first round. Mostly the running backs usually. Anyway, that's what I got for the podcast. So another really good podcast. Comment down below your thoughts on the Jets free agency and the NFL free agency in general. And comment down below your thoughts on Domingo Germán and the Yankees' successful pitching so far this spring training and heading into the regular season. So super, super, super exciting there. But with all that being said, stay tuned. More videos coming. Tomorrow, like I said, will probably be more free agency stuff. And I have a couple things I want to talk more about the Yankees, so I probably might do a couple more Yankees things. But like I said, whatever happens with news and stuff, if there's any breaking news, I'll talk about that first. But I definitely want to talk about a little bit about Aaron Judge and the Yankees so far, kind of just how he looks good, looks like he's prepared, and kind of just like overall with the Yankees, this batting lineup, this team so far looking pretty good. Definitely, I noticed we're getting a lot more line drives, getting a lot more base runners, getting a lot more scoring opportunities. So, really good to see that. But, with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast here today. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.